Alrighty. So, the Rampage rally video has now come out. All of them have. We're gonna check them out. So I did unfortunately not make top 100 again, but we're gonna keep trying. We're gonna keep moving forward. I think I did really damn good this last time, and I can kind of show you where I'm at. I'm at 3 hours and 30 minutes. So, we'll go back a few just to kind of give an idea of what mine looks like in comparison to some of these ones. I liked this one. This one was pretty cool. I like the stylized airplanes. That looks sick. And I really like how mine turned out. But yeah, it was fun to work on. I had a lot of fun working on it. And I'm hoping that in the near future I'll get to do something like this again soon. So it looks really nice on my monitor since they rendered it in like 21:9, basically. Pretty close to. It looks really nice on this monitor. Yeah, I love my render. It looks nice. I like it. I'm really happy with it. So that's that. Let's kind of talk about how I got to where I am at the end. So it all started with a file. This file, to be specific. We rendered out a bunch of different passes. I have a ambient occlusion pass. I have a reflections pass. I've got a... Yeah, this is the reflections pass. Yeah, that's the reflections pass. So, and then I've got the ramp up here, as well as a few other items just to stack on top, just to make sure that they come through correctly. But their opacity is kind of tweaked around with. So then I've got two adjustment channels, one for camera lens blur, which is very, very slight. I did not want to put a heavy camera blur on this one. I didn't think it was needed. But then I did some tweaking to the curves to make it look how I wanted it to. So this is what it looked like before versus after. So wanted to make it feel more like the anime. Real quick, we'll open up PureRef actually. I'm actually going to just move this out of the way for right now and bring it up onto my main screen. Alrighty, so this was kind of my different car designs I decided to go for. I decided to make Sonoshi's ship. I decided to make the main ships here. I decided to make this guy, and then I also decided to make this thing, as well as the 3 pillars. I also made the racetrack based on this area here. In the movie, I really liked the way that this racetrack looked, so I decided to go with that. And then I also pulled out some reference for the hubcaps to get a better idea of how I wanted it to look, and this is the end goal that I went with. I wanted to push kind of a very stylized look, so that's why you see in my final animation here, you see very dark blacks, very high contrast, dithered shadows, stuff like that. So very high contrasted areas, high contrasted cliffs, and I felt like I was really successful with it. I like the explosions as well, and this was my first time really working with a lot of VFX. I've worked with VFX a little bit before, but this is my first time using EmberGen, so I've used similar platforms, but not exactly this. So it was really fun to use it on this project. There was a lot of animation work. This is the most amount of animation I've done on such a small project. I've done more animation on larger projects, but in terms of smaller projects, this is quite a bit of animation in just a 6-second window. And a decent amount of shader work as well. I downloaded the stylized shader asset pack from Fab. It's like, I think it was like 15 or 10 bucks when I bought it. I think it's like 20 or 30 now. I think they've increased the price a little bit. Either that or I bought it when it was on sale, one of the two. But I use that as kind of my base shader for it. And then I basically added a bit more detail on top of that with some other shader work. So you'll see here I have like additional line work inside the model, and that was due to some of the additions that I had added to the shader. And then, yeah, I decided to kind of tell 3 different stories with it. I feel like with my previous entries, I didn't really push myself super hard. I tried to stay kind of in a safer zone. I did some newer things, but I still tried to keep it safe, you know, use asset packs and stuff like that. But I built a lot of the assets here. I did it very quickly. Like all of the moving assets, the ramp, even a couple of the cliff rocks I did myself, but I did download an asset pack for a lot of the rocks here. But like the ramp, the ships, you know, I pretty much built all of those in 3ds Max. Over the next month or so, I'm hoping to make a video about more of this, because I recorded my entire process through this whole thing, so I'm hoping to make more videos about this. I just kind of wanted to show off the project now that it's all over, said and done. Now that I feel like my mind has calmed down and my life has calmed down a little bit, I feel like I can work on this a little bit better. Life's been pretty stressful for me the last month or so, so I haven't been doing any uploading of any kind. I haven't really been working on too much. I've just been kind of taking a break from the world as a whole, or at least trying to. So, but now I'm trying to come back, trying to stay focused and continue grinding towards my dream and my goal. So, there's a couple of small errors that I'm catching now in the playback, like this ship is glitching into the ground. They probably noticed that when playback was happening, and that was probably one of the many reasons mine didn't make the cut. So it's a lot of little things like that that I need to get better at cleaning up in the end, but I didn't have a lot of time in the end, and I had a lot of unforeseen events kind of come my way towards the end of last month. So yeah. But now I'm finally here, finally making this video, and I'm hopefully going to upload it today. This is my second time recording it, so I'm going to try to follow through with it. So, but going back to the topic at hand. So I'm telling 3 stories here. The main story being these cars racing on the ramp. The main car that you're focused on here is going to end up crashing, and then it's going to refocus on the main red line car as the clip ends itself. And then the second story being told is down at the bottom. You have Sonoshi being tracked down by a bunch of these goons that are now starting to form a formation as they exit out of camera. And then the final story, which is happening all the way in the top left screen, the ship that the movie has this race start out in, descends from the sky to continue to record the fight from a distance. And you see a little bit of that as you pan up the camera there at the end. You see the final bit of that. So, yeah. I tried to do quite a bit with this one. I definitely pushed myself really, really, really hard. And I'm really proud of it. I really am. In a singular watch, most people are not going to find any errors, but the way they're probably judging it, you know, they're rewatching it multiple times. They're doing stuff like this, and they're noticing that, hey, he's clipping into the ground there. And they're probably like, that's definitely like a point or two off if they're putting points on it. So, but overall, I think I did a pretty good job. I think animating him crashing, I wish I could have done more with that, but I just didn't have enough time to. I really wanted to have him turn into a gravity object here at the end, and then have him split apart into like all of his separate object pieces. But that might have been too chaotic and hard to manage, so I don't know. But there was stuff like that that I thought about doing, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one of these. I'll kind of quickly, as long as it doesn't crash when I open it in, because sometimes Unreal likes to do that when I open a level I haven't opened in a while. They're just like, I don't recognize this. And they're just like, let's just get rid of it. They're just like, get rid of it. It's like, alright. Oh, a little bit of lag. Not too bad, though. But this was the level that I designed. It started off kind of pre-designed, and then I just kind of added on to it. I kind of made this kind of like canal, kind of canyon sort of thing for them to drive around near. And I really like how it turns out in the camera. It looks pretty nice. Makes the world feel a lot bigger than it actually is. So, and then there's a couple of bits and bobs. You're like, why did you place this over here? It was already there. Why move it? Same thing with this shit over here. Why move it? It was just kind of like deciding, where do I want this to be? Do I want water to be really visible? You can kind of see water in some shots, but I more so wanted it in the background, very, very far background, just to make the world feel a lot bigger that you're actually in. So, this thing was a bitch to get working correctly, because I modeled it really, really fast. It's a really, really rough model, like a really rough model. And then I did a really quick texture job on it. Just adding some normal map detail just to give it a little bit extra oomph. Yeah, and that's the engines coming out the back, is that. And then, yeah, that's the starting orb where it starts off. And then I can show you the sequencer file. The sequencer file looks ridiculous. It's like so big. Got so many folders full of shit. Probably a more efficient way to do this, but this was the way I went about doing it. So I've got all my different enemies in my enemies folder. So these are all the little enemy vehicles that are up top. And then I also have the bottom enemies, which are the ones that are on the bottom. Because those got made second, so they were made the bottom enemies. This was the slight directional burst that happens down here. When they're driving along. And then I've got, these also didn't spawn in correctly in my final video. So if I go back to that final video, those clouds didn't spawn in, which pissed me off. But I was like, fuck, it's too late. So there's my comment. If anybody wants to comment on it, feel free. And then I also did a 2D animation for the lightning, so that way it would animate in the background and get slowly bigger and like pulse out. I don't do a lot of 2D animations. It was kind of like it was faster than trying to simulate something like this. Like I was like, I'm not gonna try to figure that out. I'm just gonna do this really quick because it'll be easier. And it was significantly easier. I just put on Dragon Ball and just watched that, and then just kept drawing lightning, you know. We got the pillars. Those change color as the thing comes in. We have a purple light. We have the actual car itself. Sonoshi. Did I close it again? God damn it! Why do I keep doing that? Okay, I made the pillars like flash a color, but I didn't make them stay the color. I didn't like the way it looked. We got the camera, which they gave us 3 heterogeneous volumes, which are the 2 explosions on the bridge and then the fire that the car makes. And then a couple more directional bursts for the main car that happen at the start of the race. Let me take you back to that. Yeah, they come out there. I wanted to go for a very wild animation style and a bit of squash and stretch. So when it's crossing this gap, it's stretching quite long. And it gives the feeling that it's much further ahead than, or it's like pulling ahead physically. And then it starts to come back to its normal size. And then it also stretches out a bit here when it crosses across the screen. Just to add a little bit of extra like oomph, like it's moving, like it's hauling ass. But I think the next time I do something like this, I want to push that style even further. I really want to push it hard. I think that would be really cool. So I really wanted to be more stylistic with my animation here, especially since the movie was very stylistic with its animation choices. I really wanted to give, what do you want to call it? Like respect to that that movie, because of how far it pushed itself stylistically, and how much it deserves to be praised for it, but isn't. So, this is an homage to this movie, for me. Like this is what this is. It's an homage, and it's. I recently watched the movie, maybe half a year ago now, and I was blown away. And when the challenge first got brought up, I originally thought maybe I'd do something with Kirby, because the Kirby Air Rider's coming out. Maybe I'd do something cyberpunk related, because I'm working on cyberpunk stuff. That would be kind of fun. No, not really feeling it. I've done a lot of realism stuff. I wanted to do something stylized, so I've pushed myself in the form of realism. This is pushing myself in a completely different direction, and I really want other people to make note of that I'm not just one kind of artist. I have a very broad focus, and I can accomplish a lot of different things, even just in this engine alone. So yeah, that was my project. I'm really happy with it. Congrats to everybody else who submitted, and congrats to the top 100 winners as well. You guys did really, really good. I was really impressed with a lot of them. There was a couple of them where I was like, this wasn't in top 5? I'm like, this is insane. So, their judging criteria is insane. I hope to someday be in even number 100. If I can at least make it to that slot, that would be sick. So that's my goal. I hope you enjoyed. Here's one last replay in After Effects. Maybe two. And I hope you guys have yourselves a good one. And I hope to talk to you soon. Real soon. And I hope to keep making more of these videos. Because I want to share the cool stuff I make with everybody else. So, hope you enjoyed. Peace!